What is going on, everyone? We are working on one of our, well, I think it's one of the most exciting projects, and it is right here. We have a 5-ton AC unit. We run the power, we have the deck set up for the platform, and we'll be installing the condensing units. You ready for some air conditioning?
Yeah.
So this will be really big as far as controlling the climate in the shop, and that's important for a few different reasons. One, it's just comfortable. We want to create and have a space that, one, the equipment is easy to work with and people want to be here. And the next step to that is making sure that they are comfortable. We run a lot of long days, and to be able to do that while standing next to a 300+ degree dryer, we already have the ductwork up there, and so we might as well take advantage of that and hook up some air conditioning to that. Another thing that'll help with is, especially in the summers, even midway through the year, being able to control your temperature in your shop takes out a lot of variables. By controlling the climate and humidity and everything in here is just an added benefit, and definitely keeps the quality at a higher level, and it's eliminates a lot of variables, so you're just dealing with a lot of consistency, and that way you don't run into as many problems during production. So we are going to tear this thing open. Hopefully it all arrived in one functional piece, and then we'll start to get it assembled. Build a small little platform to hold the air handler up there, and what we're going to use is these bars. We got one long one. We're going to cut them down to 30-inch pieces, and we'll have one in the front, one in the back, and then we will be able to put them as cross members on there and have a place to set the air handler. And the air handler is right there on top of the scaffolding. We use the staircase to walk it up, where we were able to just set it nicely on there, and then we will roll that over and right into place. Are now in. As we cinch them down, they will tighten and move into place, so they won't slide left to right, and they will be plenty strong enough for holding the air handler. And here's our power that they had run right underneath, and we will be able to bring that right up to the unit. So this is probably the sketchiest part of our install, but we put the air handler on top of the scaffolding. So we just rolled it right out of that gate onto here, and that way when we get down to the other end of the shop, it will line up directly with that, and we won't have to lift. So we're going to go ahead and put the side railing on the scaffolding so we can transport it without worry of the air handler falling off, and then we will be able to get that set in place. All right, and we are off. Successful maiden voyage of our air handler hauler. All right, sorry about the rain noise. Just started downpouring, but we now have our scaffolding in place, air handler in location, and we have the back railing up on the scaffolding so that nothing falls this way. We're gonna go ahead, and now that it's transported, move our leg braces to the outside, and now we have a good, safe access to the platform where we can go ahead and stand the air handler up, where it'll be in place, and get everything fitted without having to be on a ladder or working above our head. It's all gonna be right at ground level basically. So we'll go ahead and get that tipped up and go from there. All right, so we have got the air handler stood up vertically and we are lined up with our platform. So now we can roll this right up and under until we're almost touching, and we'll be able to slide that on. And once we get all this installed, we'll be able to use this beam right here to strap this in place, as well as making a little bit of a lip on there to secure that. And when we're done, after everything gets installed, we will get some ductwork ordered in and get all measurements and connect from there up to the ductwork that was actually already in the shop. And that will run all the way to the front of the warehouse, dumping air, not only in our fulfillment area, the upstairs mezzanine, but then down above the dryer and everything. So we will hopefully be nice and cool. So we have gotten all the wiring run up there, got our thermostat wires dropped for there. The condenser is outside and ready to be hooked up. So the next thing that we are going to do is get our line connections set up, and that will hook into our pre-charged line set for the condenser. So we'll be able to get that hooked up. So we're gonna go ahead and put these on up top and down at the condenser. All right, so it's fairly simple. We just remove these top ones here, and that is where this will be screwed on. All right, so we have the line set adapters set up top as well, and we also have our thermostat wire run and ready to go. We have this strapped in just in case. We're going to be putting a metal strap around here, and you can see our platform that we built for this. So yeah, everything's looking good, and when we finish, we'll pop one of these out and put our condensation line in. All right, so we've got everything run. Line is coming out of the building in through this all the way up, and as you can see, it is probably 1.5 feet short of what we need once it's all actually stretched out. So we are going to quickly adapt. We're going to pop those brackets off. We are going to relocate it right there, and then we just have to extend the electrical with the whip over to the unit. Then we will be good to go. The only thing that this will do for us is cause a little bit of an additional reach for ductwork, but it will be installed. We will be able to turn it on, and we should be good to go. So that was my fault. I should have measured twice, but it looked like it was 25 feet. It was more than that. So they do come in different line lengths. You can buy additional, but the smallest additional that you can insert into that is 15 feet, and I don't need that much. So we are going to use what we have and make it work. And for 20 minutes of moving around, it will be cheaper than spending $250 for 15 feet of line. So that is now our task, is to move that from its current location over to right above and next to that conduit. Then we'll have plenty of line, won't have to bend it super sharp, and we'll get this place cooled down. All right, so we are up top getting ready to put in the other end of the line set. And one thing to note when you're installing this unit, the receiving end is pointed to the right when it's up against the wall. It would be nice if you could have that as an option to go left or right. So that is why we have a little bit of a loop so that we aren't cutting it too sharp. And then you can see we drop straight down and that heads outside. So we're going to get these two connected. And once we're sure we have enough spaced out correctly, we will then clean it up along the wall. All right, and last we are going to send the thermostat wires down and outside to the condenser, And then the other one will go to our nest, and we'll close this up and everything's connected. Tighten up these lines and we'll be set. And charging this system is super simple. You just remove the caps here. The top one, I believe, is a 5mm, and this bottom one is the bigger one. Let's see, have our 8mm. You just open it slowly. And at this time, you're also checking for leaks at the joint, and you just open it all the way until it stops turning. You don't need to wrench on it past then. Should all be hand tight and hand loosened for this valve. All right, that's it. Then just reinstall the cap. You're gonna do this also at the outside condenser, and then down here we have popped this off. We have our primary and secondary condensation line drains, so we'll go ahead and toss those in. We're probably gonna do a temporary setup, as we'd like to end up going out and meeting into the rain gutter, so we're gonna have to check some heights, but we'll get this thing set up and hopefully fired up. All right, so it's been a few months, and I wanted to kind of just wait before we posted all of this. We're now in the winter months, and as you can hear, the Mr. Cool unit is running. We still don't have it connected to ductwork. That'll be our next step, but we do have it running right now so that you guys can hear the noise, which is super quiet. And that's just the handler, and right now I have it running the heat pump on there. Just so that you can hear everything outside as well. It's been really good in the summer. We were happy with how much cold air it was pushing out. We don't actually use it much in the winter because we have our dryer, and then we also just have another auxiliary heater, but that is more than enough to provide the heat we need in here. The building is very well insulated, but just to bring you outside real quick, this is it. So not loud at all. Something we really like about it is just how slim it is, and then you can see just how we ran all of that and up into the building. Our next step, just been kind of playing catch up on everything, is going to be wrapping these together, and what we'll do is we'll start at the unit and wrap all the way up to the top with just some extra protective wrap, and that way it'll shed the water off of it. But for what we paid for the unit, and having, I think, the 4 and 5 ton setting depending on your setup with this unit is really cool. So we couldn't be happier, and it changed definitely the work environment in our warehouse, and I think that's something that is really important, just kind of like that work-life setup and creating a comfortable area for our employees. And yeah, even in the middle of the summer, we didn't see a huge spike or anything in our utilities, so it was very efficient. We didn't run it when we weren't here or didn't need it. Some days we would still leave the door open depending on humidity, but on those hot, humid days, to be able to keep everything closed, start it up. And I mean, for a building this size, it did awesome, but most people, I don't think, will be competing with a 20-foot dryer running at 300 or 400 degrees. Most people just need to keep their space at a certain temperature. So this unit will do that, and we were just really excited when we saw it. And I hadn't seen many people post any videos on this setup. Most of the other stuff that you see is like the mini split, where you are setting in the different units that can run, but this being able to go into ductwork and have an air handler, I just see a huge opportunity for a lot of people. Very cost effective, and I mean right here, just standing over this, like, you can hear me. It's not super loud. It's slim, so we still were able to save our parking spot, so we like that. And I mean, it's something that you can really create an awesome work environment, and so I would recommend it. If you have the opportunity and the need, this is definitely a route to look into, and very, very simple to install. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We're always happy to share information. And our next step, now that it's freezing out, I will show you guys the heater we put in the water sprinkler room here at the property. So we will go take a look at that next. We'll see you guys later. Thanks.